Cuba, it's me. Welcome to episode 230 of the Willow Show, which stands for Wrestling is Life. Life is Wrestling. Now, today I wanted to talk about competitiveness in wrestling. It's very different dynamic in pro wrestling. I mean, it's the same as everything else in life. Everybody wants to be the best, or most people anyway. When I first started, I just wanted to be a wrestler. I just wanted to be good enough that people would want to include me on every show. I didn't care if I won or lost, but I wanted to wrestle all the time and have respect. And I always cared about when I always wanted to have the best match, but even more important to me is I wanted to be the one that they said worked the hardest. Or, I know this sounds crazy, I always wanted to be the one that got beat up the most or took the hardest bumps until I, got about a couple years in and I'm like, my body can't handle this anymore. But that was my mentality going in. Now, for other sports, like if you're playing hockey or football or something, and it's a team sport, or a single sport, like let's say tennis or something like that, most people want to be the best. Most people want to win. Well, the difference is wrestling is you have to work with the people you're competing against. Let's say I'm wrestling so and so. In the back of my mind, I want to be way better than he ever is. I want everyone to say I'm the best wrestler. I want to win the title, and I want the company to make me the featured performer. Well, if I don't work with this guy, the match is going to be crappy, and it's going to look bad for both of us. So it's just a way different thing. Whereas when you're competing in any other sports, or even just anything in life, you're competing and it's just like you're going against them. And it's so weird in wrestling how you're going against somebody, but yet you need to work with them, otherwise you're going to look bad. I mean, this is just, nothing else is like it in the world. That's why wrestling is so unique. Nothing else is like it. Like, okay, they have improv comedy, and they got to just figure out things as they go and try and be funny. Well, yeah, wrestling has got improv, but we're also doing stunts. You don't see the improv comedians powerbomb each other off the stage or like interact a stunt scene like they would in the movies. That's what's so great about wrestling is they include so many different things. Like everything else is just one thing. Wrestling is a combination of everything. But what makes you competitive? So like if you want to be the best and you're taking this seriously and you actually want to make this a full-time job and you want to be successful and you want to be in some of the top promotions in the world and be a wrestler, what sets you apart? Because there's thousands and thousands of people that have great work ethic. There's thousands and thousands of people that are athletically gifted, perhaps even millions. And I mean, what are the odds of making WWE or like New Japan or Impact or Ring of Honor or any of those ones? I mean, the odds are very low. I would say 1%, maybe even lower than that, probably lower, probably have better odds of winning the lottery. But wrestling, it's even harder because if you're good at basketball, if you're the best shooter, you're going to get drafted. If you're the best passer, you're going to get drafted. If you're the best rebound guy, you're going to get drafted. If you're the best defenseman, you're going to get drafted. In wrestling, you got to be so many different things. So what sets you apart? And are you competitive? I know a lot of my friends that have been in the business a long time and they're just indie wrestling. I'm sure they would love to do it, but it's just not something they can do in their careers now, depending on family. You don't want to risk if you have like a house and you have a good paying job. It's hard to gamble all that away on a career. But if you're in your 20s still, it's a little easier, or if you don't have any family or you're just going from job to job. So you got to sacrifice. But what are you competitive when it comes to wrestling? And if so, what will make you stand out from the pack? What makes you different? Like for me, I don't even know if I'm competitive anymore. I want to be, I think about it, but then I also know, like, if WWE came calling, I don't really think I could leave this cameraman by himself. Like, those kind of things, lucky I don't have to make those decisions right now, and probably not ever. But still, I want to be competitive even, like, in Ontario. I want to get respect. I want people to say, he's the one you want on your show. He's someone that is going to entertain you, and he's someone that's going to help promote your show. He's going to sell tickets to your show. He's someone that you want to have. He's going to have a good match. And also, he's not going to take away from everybody else's matches. He's not doing 55 suplexes, or I mean super kicks, or rope reversal spots. He's doing something different and not taking anybody else's thing. I think that's what I have to offer the most. And I mean, I try and be competitive. I try and do this show to keep my name out there, to keep try and build up a social media presence, because that seems so important nowadays. But I really want to help other people. Probably no one will watch it. My Saturday and my weekend shows never get any views, but maybe just one person I can help. What makes you competitive? What makes you different? You could go in there and you could be the hardest working wrestler in the match. You could be, like I said, super athletic. You could just work on your body and make sure you have a look. But the hardest thing about it is you could be entertaining, but most of the best ever entertaining wrestlers were just born with it. It just comes natural, and there's nothing you can teach. You either have it or you don't. Like for me, I'm really shy, and I was never entertaining at all. And now I am a little bit, but I'm forcing it out of myself. Like I'm being like way over the top, because yeah, when I come out there and say I love wrestling and I'm having so much fun and this is the greatest thing, I do think that. But me as my personality, I'm really shy and quiet. So it's like I'll make my little smart remarks. That's how I'm funny. I'm not funny as putting myself out there and embarrassing myself. So it's really hard, and I'm like forcing it out times a million, but it's still not as entertaining as someone that just has it, whether they like it or not. They're just born with it. They're meant to be there. And I mean, I see a few people like that that just have that charisma that when you see them, not even just in the ring, just in the locker room or the backstage, or you just bump into them in public, you're like, there's something about this person. So I want to hear from you, the fans, and the other wrestlers. I want to know, what do you think about competitive in wrestling? Because I always see, like, back in the day, The Rock and Stone Cold, they liked each other, but they were always competing for that top spot, and Triple H and all those guys, and like Shawn Michaels and the Clique, they were always competing against each other, and Shawn and Brett, like, everybody wants a top spot, yet they're cool with each other, and they're willing to work with each other. But do you think competitiveness is good in wrestling? Do you see a lot of it, now, especially now that kayfabe's dead? What is your thought on the competitive nature in wrestling? Because like I said a couple of times, it's way different dynamic than anything else, any kind of entertainment, any kind of job, any kind of sports. There's nothing like it in the way the wrestling is. So let's hear it. Like, or you get a leg drop. Comment, or you get a clothesline. Subscribe, or you get a suplex. I'm your host, Elian Habanero. I love wrestling. Cuba!